En dan down. Er is hij weer. Hoop ik. Niet wel. Alright. Let's test it out for a minute. 23. No, some clouds are going in. That's not good. Wolkenradar. Achtjes gaan. I say no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more. Let's save and hope for the best. Hi guys. So this might be a very short live session, but I have Jupiter here in my field of view, so I just wanted to show you that. And yeah, let's see if you are willing to join or not. So actually we do have some clouds here in the Netherlands. This is the situation right now, where we actually, yeah, I'm here. So I'm here on the border of these high-hanging clouds. So I'm not sure if we are going to get a long view of Jupiter here. Anyway, I don't see anyone in the stream yet. One person in the stream. Hello, one person on Friday. I'm trying to capture Jupiter here. No people. So hi folks. I'm trying to capture Jupiter here. So this is a live view of Jupiter with unfortunately not the best atmospheric conditions. So nobody in. Hi, Astro Josh. You're currently the only one joining. I just had a live view of Jupiter, so I thought I would be showing you that. And I don't know how long it's going to last, because there are some low-hanging clouds over Utrecht. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Oh, we have 50 people now. So apparently something is happening with my chat. Oh, Sam is in the house. Sam says hello. Hello, Sam. So the current situation is that I'm trying to capture frames of Jupiter, but as you can see, it wobbles around a lot, so the atmospheric conditions are pretty bad. I'm trying to capture Jupiter. If you hear some shouting, by the way, there are 3 student parties going on in my neighborhood. Can you believe it? 3 student parties. In the front of my house, there is like the neighbor's kid. He has graduated or something like that, or this is a delayed Corona party. And they are shouting in front of my house. They are from a student party. So if you hear some shouting, and at the back of my house, where my telescope is currently positioned, there's a barbecue party going on. So yeah, living in a big city. And I think I have maybe half an hour to capture Jupiter, because I'm here. The clouds are almost over my city. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And this is of course the Edge HD again with on the Skywatcher EQ6i Pro with the ASI 178 MC camera and the 2.5 wire lens. So let's see, we have some people now. We have Prashant, good evening, hello Prashant. Ollie, we have Ollie. You're on fire this weekend. Nah, Ollie, I don't know. I think this fire might not last long. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I just wanted to show you that I have Jupiter also in my field of view. Trying to capture some I think 1 minute videos. I noticed that the exposure time on Jupiter is a little bit longer as compared to Jupiter that which I did last Thursday. And I think this will be. I want to do one more thing in planetary imaging, and that is capturing the red spot of Jupiter. And once I got that, hopefully I will get it this weekend, then I will switch back to deep sky astrophotography actually. Pim says, oh no, he isn't. Yes, I am, Pim. Stevoscope says hi. Hello, Steve. Stevoscope, of course. And then we have Astro Josh, where I live, Saturn rises before Jupiter. Well, I think that is for most of us living in the northern hemisphere. Definitely true. So also Saturn was a little bit earlier on in August, was already in opposition in August, and Jupiter was a little later on in August. So Saturn is currently indeed positions a little bit. It rises a little bit earlier, it sets a little bit earlier, and I saw that it is a little bit lower above the horizon, at least from where I live. And I'm actually violating all the conditions, because if I were to make a video on planetary imaging, one of the first things I would recommend is not shooting at low altitudes, because there is, as you can see, there is a lot of atmospheric turbulence. And that makes imaging a lot harder. You can see that there's a lot of wobbling, unfortunately. So I'm hoping to get the Cassini division, but I'm not sure with these conditions. And the second thing I always not recommend people to do is to image above like rooftops, buildings like flats. And I'm doing that right now at the moment, because I'm imaging in the center of Utrecht, and Saturn is low in the south on the horizon. So anyway, let's see. What city are you in? Utrecht, Rashmi? Nah, the wobble is just the students jumping up and down. Yeah, that is also true. Or sometimes there's also a cat on my roof, and that cat is then jumping around and messing up my polar alignment actually. What do we have? Sneak next door and get some barbecue. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that once the clouds roll in. Pim says, is your telescope in the garden following Saturn and you nice and warm in the house? I want that. Yes, Pim, that's actually what's going on here. My setup also includes like a mini PC, and I have set up that mini PC very close to my Skywatcher EQ6R Pro, close to my rig, and so it's sending it is sending a signal over Wi-Fi to my house. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm currently behind my laptop in my house. So for software, I'm using Sequence Generator Pro. I'm always using Sequence Generator Pro to position my mount. I really like that software. And yeah, I'm using SharpCap right now, as you can see, on that mini PC. Astro Josh says, what setup do you have? Yeah, I just told you that, but I have set up the Edge HD 8-inch. So the 8-inch has a focal length of 2000 millimeters. And I'm using a Barlow lens, 2.5 Barlow lens right now. So I'm imaging at 5000 millimeter focal length with the 178 MC Cool. So with that, the ASI ZWO camera. And yeah, and we have 3 student parties going on, a barbecue party, a shouting party, that's like a male student group is shouting in front of my house. And we have also a female student group here in the city center, 2 houses further on. So I'm very curious what's going to happen this night. I hope I will get some sleep. So Pim is a beginner. Okay, Pim. That's I was also a beginner about 4 or 5 years ago. And I would say astrophotography is just taking small steps and learning new things every time. Yeah, I just started out with I think an Acromat and an LS mount, and I was just looking through my eyepiece to the moon, and that was the first time I was really amazed actually by the I think it was the Montes Apennines, like the high mountains on the moon. And then I switched over, I put a camera in that telescope, and yeah, I slowly got addicted to the hobby. So and now I'm imaging, remote imaging with yeah, more expensive stuff basically. Right. Sam says, how did your picture of Jupiter come out last night? Yeah, I didn't work on that today, because actually I had to do some real work for my job. And after that, I also finished editing a video on actually 10 tips on planetary imaging. So I want to release that next week actually. And I don't know about that video actually, because I was still recovering from that bicycle injury. I decided just not to go in front of the camera, but make an explanatory video without my face in it. And that required a lot of editing, and I'm not the best YouTube video editor. So, but anyway, I will release that next week, probably on Tuesday, I think. So I can share with you all the things I know, or at least there are 10 tips about planetary imaging. It goes a little bit into what kind of gear you can best use, how to find the planets in the night sky, how to focus on them, the best times to image the planets, and also what kind of software I use to capture and process my images. So hope you will like that. And yeah, of course, I want to work on my picture of Jupiter this weekend. So I hope I will. I think I will post it. I will post it anyway on YouTube as a picture, and I will also post it as a story on Instagram, so you can check out what kind of details I got from the imaging session on Thursday. So Hakan, what do you ask? Do you use any automated polar alignment tool, or do you simply keep your mount outside and aligned most of the time? Yeah, I wish I would have an observatory, Hakan. Because if I would have an observatory, I could just leave my mount polar aligned all year long, right? And you could just close the roof, basically, go into your house and back. That would be my dream setup. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of room in the city center of Utrecht. So I'm actually dragging my equipment every time out on the terrace. I'm setting up my telescope. I do have a tarp, so I can protect my telescope if there is maybe a little bit of rain. Sometimes I do that when I see that for several days we have clear skies, but there is maybe one maybe hour of rain, and I can just put a tarp over my telescope, so then I'm fine. But most of the time I just pull down my rig, I bring everything back inside, and then next time I'm starting from scratch again. So, but if anybody maybe lives in the neighborhood of Utrecht and is watching right now and has a nice house where I can put a permanent rig there, that would be great. Leo asks, ZWO385MC, anyone own one? No, I don't. I'm sorry, maybe somebody else. I think it would be a planetary camera, right? The 385. So we have Tim Yates in the house. And Tim says, I am new as well. Got a telescope as a gift for Christmas. That's nice. And I now own two. Aha, the next is a gem, German equatorial mount. And tracking with dedicated astro camera. Yeah, that sounds good. I think the first thing you want, if you want to get into planetary imaging or deep sky imaging, is to get a motorized so-called go-to mount. And basically you have two choices. You have the choice between an altitude azimuth mount and a German equatorial mount. I have to say that when you are only interested in planetary imaging and moon imaging and solar imaging, you should seriously consider an altitude azimuth mount, because you don't need to polar align those mounts. It's easier to set up, you are quicker in setting the alt-S mount up, and you can use them right away. But if you have any interest in also getting into deep sky astrophotography, so if you have any interest into imaging galaxies, imaging star clusters, imaging nice nebula in our Milky Way, please switch to a German equatorial mount, because you need a mount that you can polar align, and German equatorial mount can accurately track the stars. Buku says good evening. Hello, Buku. Jeffrey says, do you ever use an atmospheric dispersion corrector since you are pretty far north? Now, Jeffrey, I'm using the commando filter right now. So I'm not using any filter at all at the moment. But you are probably right. So, I think for this year it's a little bit late, because Jupiter and Saturn already passed opposition. But I will definitely look into an ADC for next year. And I would say, especially for the past years, the big planets, Jupiter and Saturn, they were in opposition during summertime. And that's the worst, actually, for my place. I'm at 52 degrees north. And indeed, Jupiter and Saturn are pretty low on the horizon. All night, basically. So maybe I should get an atmospheric dispersion corrector. Kyle says, beautiful view. Thank you, Kyle. Looks good, Martin. Hey, Martin, you are here. Nice to see you. Not many people on the chat, on the live stream on Friday, but we are having some nice views of Saturn. So welcome, Martin. Hope you're doing fine, and You were also currently working on a project, right? I forgot what it was. Were you also doing planetary imaging, or were you trying to get into deep sky, I think? Sharpstar Astro says, hello, hello. The sensor is the same technology as the 224MC. Okay. So then thanks for checking that out. I think you're talking about the 385MC. The question was from Leo. So yeah. Actually, on a personal note, I have another injury. So I have here my arm with some bandage around it. Because I was cooking on Thursday and I was heating up oil in a frying pan, and then I was a little bit careless, so I put the vegetables in, and then the oil sprung up and it hit my the lower part of my arm. So now I'm having this huge burned spot which needs to be treated. So I have to put bandage on it every day. And hopefully after maybe 1 or 2 weeks I can take it off again. Yeah, I better rest up, that's true. I will do that after I have captured a couple of videos of Saturn and processed them. Yep, that must have hurt. It was hurtful, but not as much as my bicycle accident before summer. My summer was even worse at 62 degrees. It's now just starting to get dark around 11 at night. Ah, okay, Hakan. So you are even further up north. So maybe Norway or, I don't know, Russia or somewhere else. But anyway, can I ask questions here? Gregory, by all means. What if you want AI, you can ask all kinds of questions about astrophotography, okay? You can ask other questions, but I'm not sure if I can help you out there. That looks good without an ADC for $5 US. Jeffrey. Thank you, man. You are supporting me every time. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thanks. Hakan says Sweden. Ah, okay. But you do have, of course, in wintertime, you have the advantage. But I'm not sure if Sweden is... do you have a lot of cloudy nights? At least in the Netherlands we do have. I think September usually is a good month. And then in the midst of October it really turns into fall, and then we might be lucky to have 1 or 2 imaging nights every month. So I think that is also the time where I will get back into making more videos and do more processing of my pictures. Yeah, because in the Netherlands we don't have a lot of viewing time in November and December. Truly enjoy the channel. Yeah, thank you, Alex. This is kind of a late, like I'm always doing this a kind of spur in the moment thing where I just, when I have something in a live view I just hit on the live button, and you can join me for a live session. And let's see. What is a good budget telescope? And Tim gives me $5. Tim, Yates, thank you so much. Tim, whatever you want to know, just ask me. Thank you so much for the donation. It will go into making more videos about astrophotography and... Oh, this is not what I want. And trying to get more people interested in the hobby actually also. I'm trying to answer questions, but I'm sorry, I'm searching for my... Here, I'm searching for my EQ mod. So this is my remote control with which I can control my mount. That's pretty cool, right? Georgie and Martin. Oh, Martin, you don't have to do that. You are supporting me always, and you have always. We have a very nice conversation. I think you have been to the Netherlands, right? Also, so that was also nice to read. And yeah, thanks for the donation. And Martin, you do have a channel also, eh? So if anyone is interested in checking out that Nova, I think that happened. Martin, can you help me? I think somewhere in June, July. A billion, a billion light years away. Martin captured that nova, so that was pretty awesome to see on his channel. And there was some, Gregory, I'm sorry. What is a good budget telescope for a beginner? Yeah, and that is always a difficult question because I can of course say an ED or an APO refractor. But it really depends on what you want to do. So you're talking about stargazing. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, do I want to get into visual observations, or do I also want to get into what I'm doing here? Astrophotography, planetary imaging, creating pictures, working with cameras. And depending on that, I would already recommend different telescopes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make on my site a questionnaire, and you can fill out that questionnaire, and then depending on answering these questions, I will recommend something that is of personal use to a person who just starts out. But anyway, so visual observations are great. You can buy a Dobsonian mount with a big aperture and a large focal length, so you can really see some amazing galaxies live through your telescope. If you want to get into planetary imaging, there are all kinds of long focal length telescopes which are a little bit more practical to use. I especially like the Schmidt-Cassegrain type of telescopes and the Maxitov telescopes. If you want to get into deep sky astrophotography, I would really recommend you start out with a nice refractor telescope. And if you want to get into imaging and you're buying a refractor telescope, you should always check if it has extra dispersion glass or whether or not it has actually 2 or 3 pieces of glass actually. So you will also want maybe an APO, an apochromatic refractor, or an ED refractor, an extra dispersion glass refractor, because those telescopes are well color corrected. So if you take images through an ED or an APO refractor telescope, you get nice pictures. Anyway, I'm drifting off here, I think. Last night I went out and shot a Uranus for the first time. Hey, I'm actually curious because I always think, I'm always saying that Neptune and Uranus, the planet that is, are just tiny spots in the night sky. But I'm actually curious if anyone, maybe with a bigger aperture telescope and a longer focal length, actually got some maybe surface details or anything out of it. I don't think so, but let me know. I think they are so far away that you can maybe detect the color, right, of the planet. Hakan says January this year was horrible. Okay. Oh, it's in Sweden, right? Yeah, in Sweden. But when it's cold, it's usually clear. Wait, I have to capture, of course. Oh, it is capturing, right? Yeah. In December, we have about 4 hours of light in a day. Yeah. So that is actually pretty interesting. If you have a clear night in December and you're in the north of Sweden, yeah, you could have, if it's a clear night, you could have some amazing capturing time on winter targets. Yeah? But I'm not sure. Can you see Orion? I think you can see the Orion Nebula still at 62 degrees. It's maybe a little bit low on the horizon. Or maybe the Flaming Star Nebula. It's also really nice. Horsehead Nebula, that kind of stuff. Okay. Are you looking to be doing more videos on processing? Yeah, Tim, I'm actually Yes, the short answer is yes, yes, yes. But of course, always the problem for me is time. But that's going to change because yeah, I have been in what I think is a pretty ambitious university research job for the past 3 years. But especially due to Corona and also some personal circumstances in my family, I just decided to take it a little bit easier. So I will be resigning from that job in October. And of course, I will go into another job, but that will give me hopefully some more time to work on my channel. So that's what I'm trying to do from October onwards. And I think before that time, I want to release at least one video. Next week, I will release about like some general tips on how to get into planetary imaging, with some tips on how to find the planets, what type of gear you can use, and how to capture and process them. For instance, this is SharpCap Pro. So I'm giving some tips on Firecapture and SharpCap, which are two great free software programs that you can use to get videos of the planets. And I'm also, that's very briefly, I will be touching upon AutoStacker and Registax, which are two excellent programs to free software programs also to further process your images. So AutoStacker will, you can see that I'm taking videos here of Saturn, and AutoStacker will just look at all of the frames I have from a particular video, and you can select the highest quality frames, and then it will stack all of these frames on top of each other, so you will get a higher quality picture of the planet. And Registax is especially useful because you have a wavelet function. And in that wavelet function, you can actually, I would say maybe in short, you can sharpen your picture. And it has really an advanced setting that other software programs don't have. So it basically splits your picture up into 6 different layers, and you can like sharpen and denoise each individual layer without actually affecting the other layer. It's a little bit difficult to explain without showing you how it works, but that is really useful when you want to create also a sharp image from your stack picture. Anyway, I will try to get some information out there. And there is, of course, you can use the internet. I would say just search for AutoStacker, Registax. You will see a lot of information. Hello from Colorado. Got 4 consecutive clear nights coming up. Wow. So Rod, what kind of targets are you going to image? Do you already know? I basically, sometimes I just decide on the last minute. That's not so good. It's usually better to prepare a little bit what you're going to image and think about how big the object will be in your field of view. You can calculate that. Also, maybe you can set up your rig in advance and polar align a little bit in advance, so that on the night you want to image, you don't have to worry about all kinds of that kind of stuff. But in practice, sometimes you just set up and you polar align at the last minute and then you decide. So it's pretty interesting. I will try to capture another 3 videos. So you can see here in SharpCap, you can just say from, hey, I want a 1-minute video. You can have different sequences. So basically I'm asking SharpCap to take 3 videos with a 1-minute interval. That's maybe a bit too much. So especially with the clouds rolling in, I think maybe a 15-second interval is fine. And actually that is nice. So you can actually track the planets throughout the night. And for instance, if you were tracking Jupiter and for instance also the red spot of Jupiter, if you want to image that, you can also take different videos and put the stacked images behind each other. So you can create a time lapse. That's also a super nice thing to do when you're into planetary imaging. Do you have an opinion about SV Boni cameras? Tim, I haven't tried those out yet. And to be completely honest, they have approached me a couple of times to do a review on it. So should I? I'm not sure. I saw a couple of other astrophotographers on YouTube. Anyway, they reviewed SV Bony telescopes. But yeah, what I have been doing so far, guys and girls, is I was just in the process. I'm all the time in the process of deciding for myself what makes me happy, basically. So first I wanted to do some wider field deep sky astrophotography, so I decided on a refractor and the Celestron AVX equatorial mount. So those are actually pretty basic starter decisions you can make to get into deep sky astrophotography. I learned how to guide with PhD2 guiding, to take longer exposure pictures. So I also bought some guiding gear for that, the Orion 50 Mini, if I'm correct, and the 120 MC ASI camera. And then at one point I was getting aperture fever. So there are also some smaller galaxy in the Milky Way that are super nice to image. But I didn't get the magnification and the resolution out of my refractor to do those galaxies justice, basically. So I think it was last year, somewhere in October, I bought the Celestron Edge HD and also a more stable equatorial mount, Skywatcher EQ6R Pro. And I have been imaging with that setup ever since, actually, right up until now. So I always like to do, I like doing reviews and testing gear, but most of the time it's based on my own journey like taking the next step for me. And I have to think about it. Like, do I also want to include just testing gear for people who are starting out, and just looking at that gear and seeing if that makes sense? I will think about it. Boss is in the house. Hello, Boss Pierce. I think of wavelets like a graphic equalizer on the stereo. Yeah, it also looks like a little bit like that with the sliders, and you can. There are different settings. You have linear setting and logarithmic setting, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm still not sure. I have some preferred settings, but depending on the planet, I have saved different preferred settings for myself. But I'm still figuring out exactly what they do, if I'm completely honest. Hey Wido, a good run of clear skies. Yeah, at least we have, because I was tempted to go into deep sky imaging tonight, actually, but when we look at the astronomical seeing, here, I don't know if you can see it here, but from 11 o'clock onwards they were predicting clouds, and it's pretty close also. You can see it here. I'm living here on this red dot. It says Nijmegen, but this is definitely not Nijmegen. But anyway, I'm living here right on the edge of that cloud. So I was thinking, no, I'm going for Saturn, because I was imaging I was imaging Jupiter for a couple of nights, and tonight the red spot wasn't visible tonight, so I just decided on Saturn. I thought, okay, let's give it a try. And as you can see, we have a lot of atmospheric turbulence, so I really appreciate you guys staying with me here. Jim's Astro, you should review, might be interesting results. Yeah, okay, Jim, yeah, I will definitely consider it. I have an Edge HD 8-inch, was shooting the Dumbbell Rod 53 with a 70% reducer. I also have the F7. That's a good decision, but found dew on my corrector plate in the morning. That's rather unusual for Colorado. It's always so dry. Rod, if you have any space left, can I come over and live with you for a couple of weeks? We always have dew in the Netherlands. I have this big dew cap even tonight. I have put it on my Edge HD because the Netherlands, it is close to the sea. It's close to the North Sea. the English people call it the English Channel, but we call it the North Sea. So you see there's a little political thing going on. But anyway, we have a sea climate basically. So we have lots of cumulus clouds, very moisty. Can you say moisty? I don't know. Climate. So very often I have a fogged up corrector plate. That is in the Netherlands, unfortunately, nothing special, and you can even buy like dew heaters for that. They can heat up your telescope a little bit so the dew will not appear on your corrector plate. Okay. Why am I always giving these long-winded answers? I'm sorry for that. We'll be using the AstroZap dew. Yeah, well, that's a great one, I think, the AstroZaps. I actually didn't buy one myself yet, and every time I have a fogged up corrector plate, I'm hitting myself on the head because, yeah. Hey, Wido. Yeah, it's almost correct. My name is Wido, but I understand that's a very weirdo kind of name. Looks really nice. We have really clear nights in Gorinchem. That's in the Netherlands. I can try out my new EQ6R Pro, finally imaging the Pac-Man Nebula. That's a perfect, Sander. I hope you will get some nice images. Are you imaging in a narrowband, or are you using a light pollution filter? Or maybe from Gorinchem you don't have a lot of light pollution maybe. Anyway, hope your night will be successful. Great that you also tune in, because normally when I'm imaging, especially deep sky, I'm doing all kinds of stuff and I have to be concentrated. So thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Martine says the Dumbbell Nebula. Yeah, that's an excellent target. That's true. Thanks for the tip. I did do the Dumbbell Nebula with my refractor, and I was already amazed. It is so bright also in the night sky, so you don't need a long exposure time on Messier 27. The Dumbbell Nebula. So Planetary Nebula, because a star. Why do they call it a Planetary Nebula when a star explodes? I don't know exactly. If anyone can tell me why that is. Hello from Samara, Russia. Hello, Alchemy Girl. Welcome to the stream. I'm running behind. I see. Hi Wido, checking in, saying hi. Nocturne Astro. Hi Nocturne Astro. We have had some conversations on Instagram. Huh? So I'm starting a new Takeover Tuesday project, where I let other people also post their pictures on my account. And that has been a lot of fun so far. I only had one session, by the way, but I already have like 4 or 5 people who like to participate. And it's just nice to also show what other astrophotographers do on Instagram. And I don't have a large following whatsoever, but I have a reasonable number of people. And just it's nice to, if you want to like display your work or display your pictures, let me know. And I always will do my best to find maybe a place on Instagram, or maybe we can discuss it during a YouTube session. So yeah. I'm watching this while I am photographing the Andromeda Galaxy. Hussein Faisal. That's nice, Hussein. Also a very nice, wider field target, of course. Maybe the most famous target you can choose, the Andromeda Galaxy. And it's just amazing to think about it. This galaxy is coming our way, and we are not going to live to see it, but it will actually collide with the Milky Way. That will be a spectacular show. Although I have heard from professional astronomers that this collision, it will be kind of mild. So there's so much space between the stars that they will not actually collide that much. It will not be a big explosion, but they will circle around each other, and then gravity will do its job, and we will form a new, bigger galaxy with the stars from the Andromeda Galaxy. So that's pretty amazing to think about it. Jeffrey Sander has another one. thanks for picking up some of my pictures. Yes, and thank you for participating, Nocturne Astro. Is it Nocturne or Nocturne? And then we have Sander. Sorry for the mistype. Oh, that happens to me all the time. Oh, yeah, Wido or Wido. Oh, don't worry about that at all, Sander. You don't want to know how many times people called me Wibo, Guido, Wildo. That's just part of my life. And of course, I blame my dad for that. He shouldn't have picked that name, but yeah, it is the way it is, and I can definitely live with it. Yes, it's like the videos are averaged to give an approximation of the convolved image. Then the wavelets deconvolve to give approximation of the image outside the atmosphere. It's an amazing software. Jeffrey, you know more than I do, I think. That sounds good. Maybe I will Zoom you. We can talk about how these wavelets can improve your planetary pictures. Tim Yates, planetary nebulas are called that because the ancients thought they looked like our gas giants and mistook them for planets. Ah, thank you. Nice to know, Tim. Thank you for the info. And that is also what, of course, the Messier catalog. It's also interesting, eh? The Messier catalog, they were just looking for, if I say this correctly, they were just looking for, what was it? Stuff actually that could be a comet, I think. And they were looking at maybe the direct environment of the of our solar system, if I'm correct. Just looking out for potential collisions from asteroids and comets with Earth. But from that we have this amazing Messier catalog with beautiful nebulae, galaxies, and all of these phenomenon, all of these objects, they were cataloged as not being a comet or an asteroid that could potentially hit Earth. Pretty nice. But what I will try to answer more of your questions. The old scopes weren't as good as today, Boss says. As far as I understand, astronomers saw planetary nebulae as disks like the outer planets. Well, I think the major improvement is actually what we are doing right now. So the major improvement, Boss, in astronomy is also the quality of the optics, that's true. But it is actually the digitalization of astronomy. So I can just connect, and you can connect an equatorial mount. It's computerized. It can do a pinpoint accurate slew to an object that you want to capture. We are using PhD2, which essentially makes digital pictures every second of the night sky, and it will send corrections to your mount to keep that that object you want to look at directly centered into your field of view. And because of that, we can take long exposure pictures. So instead of just looking through an eyepiece, and I don't know the exposure time we have in our eyes, but it's less than a second. So instead of looking at objects there without any exposure time, we can now take 5 or 6 minute exposures where we can collect this weak light coming from space. It hits the sensor of your digital camera, it gets saved, it gets exported with your analog to digital converter, and then it turns up as a picture on your screen. So that is actually amazing. That is actually amazing. And also this Jupiter, for instance, we are looking at a live view now, and at 30 milliseconds. It's a wobbly thing, but when you take, like when I press start, I'm going to take 1 minute video here, and you can see it here. I'm collecting frames at about 35 frames per second. So I'm ending up with like 30 times 60 is about 1800 or 2000 pictures of Saturn. And we can, of course, then stack that together, and we can create far superior pictures. So that's actually amazing, and that it also has become available for amateurs like us, or just people, some also professionals that are into really into making the perfect picture. That's just amazing. All right. The old scopes, yeah. Oh, boss, yeah. I was drifting off again. Exploring my world. Good evening, Wido. Thank you so much for the videos and the live feed this night. Very informative and entertaining. Cheers from New Hampshire. Thank you, Exploring my world. Dirk Mentels. Ik ga morgen oefenen met mijn nieuwe oude Meet 7-inch Maxitov Cassegrain. So, did anyone understand what the... Dirk is Dutch. And he's going to practice with his new Meet 7-inch Maxitov Cassegrain telescope. Yeah, I'm actually also, that's a crossover telescope. That's very specific, Dirk, what you bought. I'm very curious actually about those kind of telescopes and what they can do. You don't see a lot of reviews of those crossover telescopes, so that's nice. Hope you have a good time, Dirk. You got it right, Nocturne Astro then. Yeah. I like how the atmospheric disturbance makes Saturn looks like it's losing his mind. Yeah. It's kind of wobbling. Now yeah, this is also of course the big difference between what we are doing here on Earth with our small telescopes basically, and what the Hubble telescope can do in space, or hopefully before the end of this year, or is it maybe early next year, we will have, I forgot the name. We will have the new telescope. But yeah, in space, of course, you don't have any atmospheric turbulence, so you can make this pinpoint accurate picture of an object in space, and it's so awesome that we can also send telescopes into space. But also, if you look at the professional astronomy today, like the scientific, the scientists, they are building these super major telescopes that can be connected to each other. They also build these telescopes on top of high mountains to get above the atmospheric turbulence. I'm close to the seaside here, but I should live, of course, on top of a mountain. Because that will reduces the atmospheric turbulence quite a lot. And yeah, actually I have to read up on it, but I read one book this summer where it was explained that they actually have like a secondary telescope, and that secondary telescope is calculating the atmospheric turbulence, and it will feed that information to the primary mirror of a professional telescope, and that professional telescope can shift its primary mirror in accordance with the atmospheric disturbance, so that the picture will come out as an accurate picture. Anyway, I have to get into that. I have to read up on that more. But I was really interested in to see how far this technique on a professional level has been advanced, actually. Hello, Wido. Graphic equalizer. I'm losing some of my chat here. As you have built up your equipment base, have you found it easy to stay within your budget? Green Stargazer. I rather not talk about budgets. There's a budget, and then sometimes the budget change when you see some awesome pictures and you think, yeah, I had a budget, but you really have to. I am all in favor, by the way, of setting budgets, because the astrophotography and planetary imaging can be really expensive. Because let's take planetary imaging, because we are into planetary imaging right now. I have bought an 8-inch telescope and I'm now imaging at 5,000 millimeters focal length. But actually, if you really want a good picture of a planet, you know, I'm happy with broadcasting this right now. But if you have a 10-inch or a 12-inch aperture telescope or a 14-inch aperture, you will just see that the resolution of your final pictures will be a lot better. But you also have to realize that those people have spent $5,000 sometimes on the telescope. I think that is about the price of a C14, right? A C14 Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. So just take into account, like, some pictures are awesome, but yeah, they are also made by the best quality gear. And I like that, actually. I like seeing those pictures, and I like seeing what you can do also in terms of yeah, astrophotography. It's a little bit in between, I think, because we have, of course, we have professional astronomers, and they just send spacecraft to Saturn. We will never be able to beat that. The Cassini probe made some awesome images of Saturn, of course, and but it's still amazing to see what you can do from your backyard. And yeah, some people have a budget of $500, some people have 5,000 euros or dollars, and other people are willing to spend 15,000 on it. And yeah, that depends a little bit on your budget. And so it is always a bit difficult, because if you have, like, mastered one thing, for instance, you have mastered wide field deep sky imaging, then the next thing you want to do, that was in my case, the next thing I wanted to do is also take yeah, maybe okay quality pictures, at least, of galaxies, which are a lot smaller. So then I had to invest again in my gear. And the same goes for planetary imaging, or if you want to do great solar imaging. There are also very specific telescopes for solar imaging. So it is a never-ending story, actually. And it is a little bit, you can be sucked into, like, a new challenge in astrophotography you want to do. And then before you know it, you have spent again some of the money that was meant to put your children into college. Ah. Save up for a 450D. Okay. Have the same camera. You're talking about cameras. Curious about the results of the Maxitov. Yeah. It's an oldie, but the optics look great. Yeah, that's the most important thing, Dirk. Been following your videos for a while. Been learning a lot of them. Good luck. Thank you, Dirk. And yeah, let me know. You're living close to Utrecht, right? So let me know what you, yeah, if you are successful, what you can image. If you have any kind of questions, you can come by. Can have a talk about it. Ollie, is the budget in your mind the same as the budget you tell your wife? I don't tell my wife much about. If I'm talking about astrophotography, my wife usually wants to change the subject. Don't get me wrong; she's a very intelligent person and also a very independent person. She's actually working as a doctor in a hospital, so yeah. So she's more excited, actually. If I have to put it in a positive way. She's more excited about the inner workings of human beings and plants and animals and that kind of stuff, actually, as compared to looking into space. So she's interested in the small things. She's looking through a telescope. She's actually a pathologist. So she's looking through a telescope at the molecular level. And she, yeah, of course, she analyzes a lot of tissue and looking at whether or not people have a certain type of cancer and how it can be treated and that kind of stuff. So she's doing way more important work than I do. And then when she comes home, I don't think she wants to hear about Registex, wavelets, apochromatic refractors, Schmidt-Cassegrain, Maxitov, quasars, that kind of stuff. But maybe when she gets older, she might be getting into it. But right now she's in bed. Right, enough about my wife. Tim says, greetings, are you going to stack the photos in today's live stream? Yeah, yes, Tim, I should do that. I promise I will do Saturn and I will do Jupiter. And I think I have to temper your expectations. They will not be great pictures, but I will put them together in a picture. We'll try to work on it this weekend so you know what to expect. So I will also put out there, it's an Edge HD 8-inch. It's a telescope with a color camera, the ASI 178 MC. With a 2.5 Barlow lens, and you can just see what I can do with that stuff, and we can get into conversation also about planetary imaging, and I will just try to do an overview video on planetary imaging to get people interested and just to give some general outline, and then after that I would like to make a video specifically about gear and a video specifically about processing your videos, basically. Stay tuned. Hopefully you will, also after having this live session. Let's see, Ollie and Martin are having fun. My budget is 10 times my wife's idea of my budget. Yeah, Martin, but I didn't want to say that out loud. So you did. I agree on getting a dedicated camera too. ASI 178 MC. Yeah, the reason why I picked the ASI 178 MC is that it has a larger field of view. So the resolution is a little bit, I don't know. I have to look it up, but when you look at, like, you have the 120 MC, the 224 MC, and the 178. The 178 has the largest field of view. So I could actually, when I work with the 0.7 reducer on my Edge HD, I can still get a half moon into my field of view. Like the entire, not the entire full moon, but the half moon can fit with the ASI 1600 Mono Pro, by the way. So that's really nice, I think. And also with the ASI 178, it has a very low pixel size, so it's also excellent for this kind of magnification, for planetary imaging. All right. Have you tried the planets? Oh, people are looking for an X5 Teleview 2-inch to capture the planets. Yeah, I would say if we're talking about Barlows, you should know that Barlow lens, I'm also using them. They can magnify your image, but they are not necessarily increasing the resolution of your picture. You should always take that into account when buying a Barlow lens. Because in the end, you really, for instance, in the end, you can't do a 5 times, I did it, like a 4 or 5 times Barlow on a refractor telescope. And what you get is empty magnification, basically. So you probably know this from your smartphone. Your smartphone has this little lens, and sometimes you want to zoom in on an object and take a picture, but you will end up with a blurry picture because that tiny lens in your smartphone isn't able to collect enough light to show that object you want to image with a lot of detail. And the same goes a little bit for telescopes. So if you have a telescope with a bigger aperture and a longer focal length, that's always better than a short aperture and 5xing your focal length with a Barlow lens. You will end up with a big picture, but that big picture will not show a lot of details. Anyway, I'm talking too much, I think. What do we have here? Saving for a cooled DSO. Yeah, Martin, if you want to get into deep sky imaging, really, it's cool to have you need a cooled DSO camera. You don't need it, but you will just see the difference. The noise reduction is awesome when you have a cooling in your camera with these longer exposure pictures. Anthony, there are cheaper ones available, the 533. Yeah, that's a good one. But the 533, I'm really lagging behind because I have an opinion about everything. Maybe I should just shut up and read your opinions. But what I wanted to say about the 533, I think the benefit is that it has a very low amp glow. It has almost no amp glow. And I was also looking about for sorry, I was also looking for a new camera. And you have the 294 mono. I also like monochrome imaging. So you have the 294 of the ASI 294. You have the 1071, something like that. But both suffer from quite some M glow, and everybody says that you can compensate for it. So you can take dark frames, you can compensate for the M glow. But I'm always a little bit afraid of M glow because I have a bad experience actually with this 178. Because I have a cooled version. It was one of the earliest color cameras that was cooled from ZWO, and it also suffers from M glow, and sometimes it's very difficult to factor that out in post-processing. So I actually the good thing is that the 533 it has a very low M glow, almost nothing, and the ASI 1600 also the same. It doesn't suffer from any M glow or any significant M glow. But the 533 has this squared sensor, so you should take that into account. Most of the cameras have like this rectangle, right? How do you say this? Oh my god, my English, I'm failing. Anyway, you have this landscape sensor basically. But the 533 has this squared sensor. And sometimes when you want to image, for instance, Andromeda Galaxy, it also depends a little bit on the gear you use. Sometimes certain nebula or galaxy, they are a bit hard to fit in that squared field of view. So you should take that into account. But it's a good camera, I think. How are you feeling since your run-in with the horse? Oh, thank you, Gary, for reminding me that, that horse accident before summer. Well, the horse is fine. I'm still recovering. I just ran up the stairs yesterday. I went to work yesterday. I had to run up the stairs for a presentation of about cognitive psychology, by the way. But anyway. And with every step I felt my knee still. I felt it. And I can cycle a little bit, but not too much. And then when I can walk for maybe 3 or 4 kilometers, so that's about 2 miles, something like that. But then I still feel my leg. But anyway, I'm glad that I can use it, and that I'm slowly recovering, and hopefully next year I will be fully recovered. So that's my situation. Apart from having this bandage on my arm. But my nose healed, you see here. I had this big, I crashed into the horse with my nose, and I didn't have any skin left. But it grew back on, so I'm happy about that. So I can still do the Astoforum channel. Otherwise I would, I could also do it, but just without my face. I think Ollie took over the information part of this of this chat. You're welcome, Ollie. Thanks for helping me out. Our RASAs work the hype, particularly the 8-inch. Yeah, you know, that has to do a little bit better with what I was talking about. So the RASA 8-inch, it's an f2, right? And it has a 200 millimeter aperture. So although I don't know exactly because I don't own a RASA, but I would imagine at that 200 millimeter aperture, that is so tempting because no refractor will give you that aperture. Yeah, of course you can. There are refractors, but they are not in within the 7,000 euros or dollars price range. So I think the RASA is a pretty interesting deal where you can have a big aperture, and the low f2 ratio also makes it a lot easier, or your exposure time will be a lot shorter to capture images in the night sky. Most refractors, they are imaging at f5, f6, and most Newtonians at f5, sometimes f4. But the RASA is a lot faster in collecting light. So yeah, there are definitely some major advantages. If it also results in a pinpoint, accurate, awesome picture. Yeah, I have seen some very nice pictures, but they are also made by very skilled astrophotographers. Like I know, yeah, everybody knows, I think, Chuck's Astrophotography. Really like that channel as well, of course. And he has a RESA and he has taken some awesome images of the night sky. So it can be done. Glad you're recovering. Yeah, thanks, Gary. Really like all of the content you put out. Okay, thanks, Gary, including my recovery story. I hope you can appreciate that as well. And thanks for following me, Gary. I really like the audience there. Yeah, I like just to talk about you, fellow astrophotographers. So that's great. Greetings from San Diego, USA. So Rick, you are still like 10 hours or something, so it will be maybe afternoon or still morning. San Diego. That's beneath Los Angeles, right? It's close to Mexico, I think. I've been to LA once for a conference, and then I stayed a couple of days. How was it? Something Crest Highway. And I was still a very fit person back then, so I hired a bicycle, a racing bike, and I went up Mount Baldy. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was a beautiful scenery actually. I would say just on the east side of LA. So anyway, that's not astrophotography, but welcome to the channel. Are you still using the HP Mini PC? Yeah, I do. And Les Man, now that you ask this, I might be able to test the ASI Air Plus. So I'm thinking about trying that out. Don't know if you would be interested, but I think the big advantage is that the ASI Air Plus is of course built for astrophotography, and my mini PC is not. So I have protected my mini PC somewhat. It is in a box, in a plastic box, so to keep the dew out and to keep the moisture out, and it works. But there are also there are new solutions, of course, that allow you to remotely image from your house. Or maybe on a remote location. So it's also interesting to try out new stuff in the future. So I will look into that as well. But yes, I'm still using my mini PC. Did you already process your Jupiter data? No, Abu. Other people ask that as well. I will put that out this weekend, I promise. On Instagram and YouTube. Thank you so much for answering. You have earned a new follower, Chasing the Milk. I assume that's the Milky Way, right? I'm trying to get my daughters to chase the milk, but they only drink the Coca-Cola. Thanks for the follow. To all of the European followers here in the USA, Feather Touch and Moonlight are premium focusers. What are the best focusers manufacturers make in Europe? That's a good question. I'm not sure if I have the answer for you, Gary. But I know that a lot of people, they use the Feather Touch focusers from Telescope Service. Actually, so Telescope Service is a shop basically in Germany. But they also put out stuff under their own brand, and they have a very good top 2.5 rack and pinion focuser, which you could also motorize. I think a lot of Germans, at least, they use that. Chuck is from my hometown, so that Detroit, right, Tim? Nocturne Astro, talk about us. Why we suck compared to you? Yeah, but Nocturne Astro, I suck compared to, I don't know, even people who are into the hobby longer than I am. So don't worry about that. I actually like going through all of these phases, and every time, even when something goes wrong and your night is ruined, every time you learn something new, and it's like running a marathon. That's what I say all the time. So it's not a sprint, astrophotography, it's a marathon. First you learn how to photo align an equatorial mount, then you learn how to take long exposure pictures, then you learn how to guide with your PhD to guiding and your guide scope. Then you finally have accurate, focused pictures, but you have to learn how to process them. Now, and so on and so on. It's a never-ending story. Best focuser would be from, Prima Luce Lab. Yeah, that's a good one, Sander. Thanks for reminding me. So Prima Luce Lab from Italy. So that Prima Luce, I think that just means first light, right? Or is it best light? Prima is first. Prima donna? Or is it best light, first light? Anyway, they have also some awesome high quality gear. Also they have also remote imaging gear. I think the Eagle or something would also be interested in that. Really nice view. How much focal length is this again? This is 1600. No, this is 5000 millimeters focal length. Ligas. Viel Glück. I remembered. You were there last Thursday, right? Yes, Detroit. Hi, Tim. Yeah. Tell me about it, Detroit. I don't know. know anything about it. I know it's in the north. I think you have the Great Lake region, right? In the US. It's supposed to be great. Do you ever do visual astronomy or is it always astrophotography? I actually started out, Ushi, with visual astronomy. The first thing I did was just looking through an eyepiece at the moon. And then I think about 6 months later, or even before that, I had some binoculars and I was just stargazing. And I really liked that for a while. And then I got into astrophotography, I think after a year or something, a year of just visually observing the sky. Sander says, especially when used in conjunction with the Eagle from Prima Luce Lab. Yeah, the Eagle, yeah. That would be interesting to try that out. I have a moonlight focuser for my refractor, Rod 53. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay. Got the stepper motor and it's spot on. Yeah, that's what you need. I don't have an automatic focuser yet. And I know that ZWO has a focuser, but I don't know what the quality of that is. But great to hear that the moonlight focuser is very accurate. Okay, the students are turning on the music, so if you hear some beats in the background, then it's the students. Just a heads up, tomorrow, first light. Okay, it's first light. Thanks, Sander. Tomorrow, Io will create a shadow on Jupiter around midnight. Oh, Dirk. Now I'm tempted to do another session tomorrow. And I know that tomorrow night, if you are there at 10 o'clock, if you want to image Jupiter, you can still see the red spot as well. And of course, I hope we have some clear skies then in the Netherlands. Then we could see a transition, right? Of Io, one of the big moons of Jupiter. I think it's the innermost moon, right? And actually, I learned something new in terms of speaking English or writing English, because I always wrote about the moon in small letters. How do you call that? Just regular letters. But when we are talking about our own moon, then actually the moon is the name of the moon is the moon. So you have to write it in a capital. Anyway. But if you're talking about the Galilean moons or the moons of Jupiter, then you don't necessarily use the TET capital. Very tricky language. So many folks. I think Mac Murdoch on Instagram had a story about it. It was very funny. Many folks tell me that Water Valley Optics have a focuser that puts the American manufacturers to shame. Is that true? So I don't know, Gary, but maybe somebody in the chat. Liga says almost, yeah, well, 1600. It's about halfway of 55,000. But I need a bigger aperture with a 5. I'm just bluffing here. So I have only 8" of aperture, and I'm imaging at 5,000 millimeter focal length. You should actually have maybe a 10 or a 12", like 250 millimeters or even 300 millimeters of aperture with this kind of focal length to really capture all of the details. Midnight in the Netherlands, yeah. Martien, you're right. I think I will also end this session soon because it's midnight. And I do need some sleep. So how long have I been streaming now? I really don't know. Can I see that somewhere? Oh, it's on the other laptop. Smaller letters and lowercase. Yes, Urshi, thank you. So maybe now that I have also a significant number of followers in the USA and maybe English-speaking nations, I should work on my English, right? I should follow a course. I will try to improve. And maybe get rid of that Dutch accent. Is our moon called Luna? Anthony. Yeah, Anthony, Luna is of course Spanish for moon, right? Hijo de la Luna is a song about a kid of the moon, a moon kid. Anyway. That's right, we have a moon, other planets have moons. Yeah, okay, lowercase. In Spanish, yes, it's Luna. Yeah, I couldn't do this in Spanish, this stream. I think hola, buenas noches, bienvenido a Astoforum channel, and that's about it. But there are some Spanish-speaking channels as well. I think there's a big population of Spanish astrophotographers. But here in the north or northwest of Europe, I think the main, for us, especially in the Netherlands, the main foreign language that people speak is English, and not American English. We don't learn that in high school. We learn UK English. It's raining cats and dogs. But then we're watching of course also Netflix and all other YouTube videos from the US. So then we are slowly picking up on the American accent as well. Roma called it Luna. The Greeks called it Selene. That's nice, yeah. The Greek language is beautiful. Nah, you already speak English way better than we speak Dutch, yeah. Yeah, but there are only, I think there are only about 20 or 25 million people in this world speaking Dutch. I actually thought about it when starting the astrophotography, this channel. I thought about maybe just doing it in Dutch. It would make my life sometimes a bit easier. But at the same time, I really love to connect with people across the world. And this hobby makes that possible. And so I just decided to do it in English. And also it's a bit of an education for me. Astro nerds never sleep. Yeah, Martin, that's true. But you also have like automation, eh? Sequence Generator Pro. Sometimes when you know you are focused and you have that moonlight focuser doing its job and you're tracking, then you can maybe take a little nap. I've got the Mead Max 2 ACF. Sounds good. I really dislike the focuser available. Not happy with the focuser. Okay. I know that, I was also looking into my Edge HD. Also, they have a specific Celestron focuser for that Edge HD, but I was also a bit worried about that. I don't know if it's accurate. The Max 2 is a 20-inch. Gary, you have a 20-inch? Do you have some pictures? I think I will be drooling over your pictures when you do. Ollie has to go. Bye, Ollie. I think I always... I'm also almost done. But thanks for helping me out answering some of the questions, Ollie. And if you're interested in the southern hemisphere, everybody, just also look at Ollie's Astro. He's in Australia, and they have some beautiful targets that we are unable to see. Eh? So, yeah. Martin says, muy bien. I can also understand muy bien. I love astronomy. Tim. Yeah, I especially love astronomy when my session goes as planned. Obviously, I'm a bit addicted to this hobby because otherwise I wouldn't be streaming. But yeah, you sometimes also have nights that, I don't know. I had this when I started the planetary imaging, when I came back from holiday. For one reason or another, my polar alignment didn't work, and I had to change telescopes to get an accurate alignment. Sometimes it can be a pain in the ass. We are on YouTube, so a pain in the behind. But when everything is working, and I think this is also part of the challenge, right? So sometimes a cable breaks down, or your fan stops working, or you're not focused, or the tracking is inaccurate. But all of these nights where these things go wrong, how do you say it? Culminate, if that's a word, into that one night where everything is, or maybe a couple of nights when everything is going as planned. And you end up with some great pictures of the universe you can share with everyone. So yeah, that makes it all worthwhile. The challenge and the results you're getting, sometimes they're not great like this evening, but it's a great hobby to be in. My wife is from Mexico. So I have... Oh, Martin, your wife is from Mexico. Where is she from? The north? I've been to the south of Mexico. Of course, in Cancun, I know that that's the big party place. But also, and you have Isla Mujeres, also a big party place. But I've made a little trip to Mérida. Also, Chichen Itza, I've seen that side. I've been to Palenque, that's a little bit more towards the south, I think. Anyway, beautiful country. Beautiful country. Petabytes of data. I'm not happy with the byte of it. Yeah, Gary, I know. Sometimes you have these big, you have external hard drives probably full of pictures you don't like. Yeah, I also have them. Have a good night. It's martini time. Really, Ushi? Sounds great. Wish I could be there. Seeing is improving a bit. Oh, that reminds me to press start. Oh, we are capturing. Keep up the great content. I tried Nina's polar alignment. Yeah, I'm still working with Sequence Generator Pro. A lot of people ask me why I'm not using Nina. But yeah, I think about 2 years ago I figured out everything there is to know, or maybe not everything, but a lot there is to know about automation in Sequence Generator Pro. And it has worked for me. It just works. And I'm kind of afraid about switching to other, like the ASI Air or the Nina software. Of course, it will work as well, but you need to figure out again how it is done. But of course, I should do that because in an Astro channel, you should compare these different kind of software tools, right? Anyway, culminate is the perfect word. Here, Gary, you see? I'm improving a little bit. Maybe I should just go on a big trip towards the USA and pick up some of your vocabulary. Here, another word I know. Vocabulary. I tried Nina's polar alignment tonight. It was very easy. That's good to know. Martin even says in Dutch, wel trusten, Wido. I use Sharp Cap for polar alignment. That's also what I do, Les. Okay, I think I will be capturing maybe 1 or 2 more videos, and I'm going to end the stream, but I would like to thank you because especially on a Friday, I was actually not expecting a lot of people tuning in, and still we had quite a number of people, so that's great. Thank you very much for joining. Please, I will try to put out some content on the planetary imaging process I am engaging in, try to explain how that works. And I will put out the pictures of Jupiter and Saturn so you can laugh a little bit about these pictures. Or maybe they are decent, I don't know. We'll see what I will be ending up with. And I'm wishing you a great, morning or day or evening, depending on where you are. So thanks again for joining, and yeah, see you next time. Clear skies, everybody. Clear skies, everybody. Bye bye.